question I'm going to answer today, okay, is how to bulletproof your progress, okay? And how do you solidify your progress when it's really, really hard to do, okay? It's very easy to keep going when you're excited and when you're motivated in the beginning of your journey, okay? It's also easy to keep going if you have a couple small hiccups, not a big deal, right? But it's very hard to keep going if you plateau, or even worse, if you start to step backwards a little bit, right? Has anybody been there before where their progress stopped and they started to roll backwards, okay? Now that is the most important part where we guarantee that we keep moving forward, but it's the very hardest part to actually find the motivation to move forward, right? So that's the question I want to answer today. How do we make sure that in those moments of weakness, we don't feel overwhelmed with giving up, we don't feel overwhelmed with the guilt of failing, and we can actually still see our goal in sight, right? Because show of hands, when you've been in that moment and your feelings are high, who can still actually work towards their goal in that like peak moment of emotions? Very few people, because we've all had that thought right away where it's like, why am I even doing this? Like, it's not worth it, right? We've all had that thought, okay? So what I want to do based off of this call is give you a tool to use in that moment to help push you forward. So you come out stronger instead of letting it be another reason why you have to restart something, okay? So first and foremost, okay? So you can write this down or you can put it in the comments, okay? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Okay, my goal from this question is we want to dig deep. I want to really, really dig deep into who you are and why you act and why you make decisions the way that you do. Okay, so it might be a little surface level at first, but we're really going to dig deep. So what are you actually afraid of? What are you insecure about? Like, list them off. If you want to share them in the group. So Sarah's going back to bad eating habits. Casey's not loving how I look. Failure is gonna, yep. Big things, like let it out, guys. Bare your soul. This is judgment-free zone. So these are the things that you are insecure about. These are the things that you are afraid of, right? And can we agree that, you know, the way that we think, the way that we make decisions, the way that we act usually comes from a negative place or a place of avoidance? Can we agree that usually we make a decision to avoid something rather than pleasure, right? So I would rather avoid being uncomfortable and failing a diet again than actually try to start a new diet. Is this making sense? So we have to first face our insecurities, okay? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pick on somebody. Let me see. So Casey, you said not loving your body. So why? Why are you afraid of not loving your body? Write it down in the comments, Casey. Ganeet, why are you afraid of failure? Take it one step, ladies. So whatever you just wrote in the comments, write why you are afraid of that. Let's dig deep. There's whys behind everything. So Emma, you're a huge avoider. Why are you afraid of avoiding things? Diane, why are you afraid of disappointing your family? Kelly, why are you afraid of losing motivation? Write it down. Write it down. Casey, because I don't feel like I will be loved and that people are judging me. Boom, that's what I want. That's the level I want. Keep going, guys. Keep going in the comments. So if you said, I'm afraid of failing again, why are you afraid of failing? If you're afraid of not loving yourself, why? What happens if that doesn't happen? Because it's easier to do that. Exactly, because it happened in the past. And Artie, if it happened in the past, what happens if it happens again? Why is that so bad? What does that mean to you? If this thing happens, this biggest fear, this biggest insecurity, ladies, what happens if that happens? What does that mean? I don't want to feel like a failure. That emotion is, demotivating, and it really puts you down. So then let's take it one step further, Ganeet. What happens if you're demotivated all the time? Why is that so scary? Where does your life go if you're demotivated all the time? So take it one step further. I'm really making you guys think today. So we gotta break down the layers, okay? Surface level goals, surface level fears aren't big enough to cause action. They make you think a lot. You think, you know you should start eating healthy. You know you should work out more. You know you should probably stick to something longer. But your current goal and your current fears and how you're making decisions is not powerful enough to force you to move, even in the hard spots, even when you start to fall backwards. And that's what this is for. So think about it. There we go. So depression and falling back into my old habits. This is good. Afraid of becoming one of those super unhealthy people on a reality show. Like, and what's the TLC show? My 600-pound life? That's real, guys. That's real. Okay? So now we have your fear. Okay? If you do not have a specific sentence of what happens if that fear comes true, you need to sit down and figure that out. If that sentence doesn't scare you, if it doesn't make you emotional, it is not deep enough. Okay? I was not successful losing my weight until I became afraid of being a hypocrite. I didn't want to be a hypocrite. Why didn't I want to be a hypocrite? Because I didn't want to be the fat gym owner. Why didn't I want to be a fat gym owner? Not because I looked bad to everybody else, because that means I'm a phony to myself. So now every single action that I make in life is geared towards me not proving myself to be a phony, disproving that I'm a phony. I'm real. I'm the real deal. That's how I am able to move so quickly. That is how I'm able to stay successful. That is how I'm able to keep progressing and not worry if I slip up. Is this making sense, ladies? So you really need to take the time and find out why you are making these moves. Why are you acting? Okay? So now let's reverse it. What are your goals? What are your goals? So write down your goal in a quick little sentence. Write it down. So now we talked about the negative side. Let's talk about the positive side and break that down. So stay healthy and look fit. Beautiful. Lose weight, get toned, and be healthy. No knee braces. Successful life. Feeling good in my own skin. Beautiful. All right. These are our goals, okay? Now let's break them down. Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to get toned? Why do you want to be healthy? What's the reason? A lot of the times it's just because we think we need to. We hear it all the time. We're like, yeah, I guess I should. Why? To feel better and stronger. So Diane, why do you want to feel better and stronger? What does that look like? What does that allow you to do? Does getting healthy mean you're going to live longer and get to see your grandparents? Does getting stronger mean you can perform better in your business and make more money and live the life you want to live? Like, break these down. Why do you want to lose weight? Because you feel like you're leading a horrible example for your husband. You're letting your husband down. Break it down. Let's see what we're saying. I don't want to be the fat girl with diabetes. Wow, Beverly, that's very powerful. So what happens if you're the fat girl with diabetes? Break it down, guys. Break it down even more. These goals are real. So these goals are very, very true. They're very authentic to you. But you know what's covering them? You know what's shaping the way that they come out? Society, the weight loss industry, they've put words into our head and they've put expectations in our head of what we should want, right? Everybody wants a Kim Kardashian body. Is Kim Kardashian's body real? Thank God we all know that. Thank God we all know that. It's not real, but I have so many people coming to me like, I want to look like Kim Kardashian. I want to look like X. I want to look like X. But it's literally not physically possible without surgery or without help. So we have to look at your goal. You have to break it down. You have to unpeel what's not supposed to be there. What is your goal? Not what society has told you to want. Okay? I didn't keep my weight off until I had a greater purpose. Okay? You know, I went from wanting to get stronger, wanting to be able to do a pull-up, wanting to just fit into a dress. I had all these goals, wanting to get my arms toned, get my lower belly gone. Like, I had these goals, but every time I restarted something with a new goal, it didn't work, ladies. It did not work. Why? Because my goal wasn't deep enough. I wanted all these things because I wanted to look good, because society said I had to look like this to feel good about myself, right? Can you guys resonate with that? Everywhere we look, movies, magazines, social media, they all have this dream body. And right now it's big boobs, big butt, tiny waist. That's what everybody's after. Toned tummy, toned arms. That's what everybody's after. Who decided that that was beautiful? Who the hell decided that that was the only thing that was beautiful? There's so many other body types and skin colors that are beautiful. So we have to unpeel our layers from what society has literally like brainwash us into thinking we want, okay? So now you have what you're afraid of on a deep, deep level, okay? And that will always progress, because as you go on this journey, you know, the exciting thing is that you change who you are. You change the way that you think. So you're gonna learn more about yourself. You're gonna learn more about your fears, all right? But for now, we have a deeper understanding of your insecurities and your fears, okay? Now we've taken your goal to the next level, right? So your goal should be slightly elevated, okay? I wasn't successful until I turned my goal into my purpose. And my purpose is to help you ladies. My purpose is to not let anybody else have to struggle and feel, and I have so much self-hatred that I had for myself. I don't want anybody else to feel that way. And until I realize that my purpose is greater, that if I don't fulfill my purpose, okay, I will not live a happy life. If I don't reach this new goal, I am letting more than just myself down. I'm gonna die unhappy, resentful, and living a mediocre life. If you guys died, if you were told you're gonna die tomorrow, who's happy and content with what they've done? Who still wants to achieve things? That's how I live my life. I am not ready to die tomorrow. I'm not. I still have so much to do. But I'm so confident and I'm so focused on my new goal, on my deep goal, that I know I'm going to get there one day. I know that I can be on my deathbed and I'm going to have no regrets and I'm going to be satisfied and I'm not going to be scared. Because I'm working every day at unpeeling all these layers and finding out why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm not listening to what anybody else has told me to want. My purpose is to help. My purpose is to grow personally. And those two things happen. As I grow, you guys grow. And that's how I've connected, and that's how I've been successful in my weight loss. Connecting my goal to something so much bigger than myself. Is this making sense? So take a second. What can you connect your goal to? Other than just yourself, other than just a physical goal. What can you attach your goal to that if you don't reach your goal, you will be devastated? Your life will not, you won't reach your potential ever. What can you tie it to? You will let yourself down. You will let everybody in your life down. So what can you tie your goal to? Okay, so important, because we don't live in a world where we make actions to seek pleasure. That's not the world we live in. We live in a world where we make actions to avoid pain, right? But what's one of the golden 5? Pursue pain. You can't avoid it. So the pain of not reaching that goal has to be bigger than the pain you're actually going to go through to achieve that goal. Is that making sense? Right? Because no one expects this to be easy, right? Put your hand up if you think this journey is going to be easy. No. Is it going to be worth it? Hell to the yeah. Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. But we need to make sure that on those dark days, we're able to push through, because our goal is so important to us. Our goal isn't surface level. Not reaching that goal is worse than the pain it's going to take to achieve that goal. If you've fallen off in the past, that means your goal, the repercussions of you not reaching your goal has not been painful enough to make you push through the pain of being uncomfortable. Is that clear, guys? So important, right? The reason you fall enough, the reason you can't be consistent, the reason you tried a million programs, the reason you lose motivation, the reason, you keep coming up with excuses, the reason you gained weight during COVID, all of this stuff is because your goal doesn't hold enough purpose and meaning yet, okay? So this is the beginning of uncovering that true goal that you have, okay? This is the beginning, but you always need to go back and check, right? Because you are going to fail again, right? We're all going to have hiccups. We're human. We're not perfect. When you have those hiccups, that's when you can really analyze, is my goal worth that? Do I feel like giving up everything right now? And then in that moment, you make that decision. It's a yes or no. And if you do feel like giving up everything right now, that's not a cue for you to give up. That's a cue for you to reevaluate your goal. You guys see the difference there? There's a big way of looking at it differently in the moment. So if you have those feelings of, I'm going to give up, I feel guilty, I'm never going to reach my goal, what's the point? That's not when you throw in the towel. And it's not necessarily when you have to work harder. That's not what it is. It's you have to work smarter in the moment. Okay? Your effort doesn't really change throughout this progress, throughout this journey. Your effort doesn't really change. And Teji just had her 1-year anniversary with Fit Queen. Her effort has been consistent. Her effort has been consistent. She's put in pretty much, if you look at a graph, it's been like this. Effort has been consistent. If you look at any one of your journeys, effort is consistent, okay? What's not consistent is how you feel about your situation. That makes you think you're doing really well, you're doing really bad. But your effort is the same, which is a really cool way to look at it. So it's not in the moment. Do not think, if you have these feelings where you're ready to give up, like you've had in the past. So take a second, remember the last time you tried to lose weight before this. What did you try? Remember that. And what was the reason you fell off? Or what was the thought you told yourself that allowed yourself to get off track? What was that thought? And if we could just in that moment ask ourselves, well, if my goal was important, this feeling, I should be able to tell myself that this feeling is temporary and I can push past it. If my goal is not strong enough or deep enough, in that moment, those feelings, they take over. Your goal is your guiding light. If your goal is weak and dull, it can't pull you out of the darkness. It can't. You turn away and you go walk out the tunnel. So you have to find it deeper. And that takes a long time. And it took me a long time, guys. Like, I'm not lying. It took me a decade. It took me 10 years. And it actually took my whole life. And I'm still working on loving myself. I'm still working on being confident in myself. I'm still working on feeling sexy in a bikini and all of this shit. Like, this is like my whole life of feeling not good enough, of feeling self-conscious, of hiding my body. Like, it's crazy. But it's in those moments, that the little tips and tricks that you can start to implement and go forward. So if you have felt all of those negative feelings in the past, I would challenge you and say, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Everything you've done is so normal. What's wrong is the goal you've chosen. You haven't attached it to anything meaningful. Is this making sense, guys? Big shift. Just by switching how you align your goal, you can push through those dark moments, right? Because if you blew up, so this weekend's coming up, if you blow up on this weekend, if you end up putting on 10 pounds over the weekend from bloating and inflammation and extra food in you, and then Monday comes around and you say, oh, well, you know what? I'll just take a break this week, get remotivated this week, and start next week. If you can justify that to yourself, if that's happened in the past, what does that mean? That means your vision, the direction you want your life to go in, is not meaningful enough to you. Or maybe you haven't even sat down to think, what does a meaningful life look to me? What does a meaningful life look like to me? Does anybody, show of hands, does anybody actually know? Has anybody pictured in detail what a meaningful, fulfilling, satisfied life looks like to them? What does your job look like? What does your dream job look like? Where you're satisfied with your purpose, you're satisfied with the amount of money you make, where do you live, where you're satisfied with your house, how close to you are you with your family, your relationships, your health? Who has fully written a plan out? Nobody! Wow, look at that. So that right there, right? So how on earth could we know what we want now if we don't know what we're working towards, right? It's just like me and Fit Queen. If I didn't have a goal for Fit Queen, I wouldn't know what I'm doing with you guys. How would I make programs to get you to a goal if I don't even know what my goal is, right? So it's the same thing. It applies to everything. My goal, my purpose is so profound to me that I can push through the dark days. I can push through the 16-hour work days. I can push through the 12 hours sitting in front of a computer. I can push through the uncomfortable emotions of growth because my goal is important. And my goal is I don't want to die and be afraid on my deathbed. If you guys want me to be vulnerable and open and transparent with you, my insecurity, the biggest one that drives everything, is I don't want to be afraid when it's my time to go. That's how deep mine goes. It took me a long time to uncover everything that I've said, all my insecurities. It boils down to that. But now that I know that, that's still a fear of mine, but I'm not afraid of that fear. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't hold any power over me because I know it. And now I've implemented things and I put things into place where it doesn't weigh on my mind all the time. It doesn't dictate how I act all the time. I'm free from it. I've broken free from that fear. It's still there, but I can act independently and work on it, which is huge, right? Like, how much is food on your mind? How much is your body on your mind? How much, like, when you sit down, do you like try not to think about the rolls folding over? When you're in the shower, do you run past the mirror to get in the shower? Do you put on a towel before you get out of the shower? Do you not? I remember I hated my body so much. I hadn't even probably seen it in a year. Like, I did not look at my body for over a year. I didn't look at it. In the shower, I made sure I kept my head up. I didn't want to look down at my tummy. I looked straight forward. I've got a towel. I think I remember the first year of opening up the gym, Ryan and we didn't have like sex. I think we went like 5 months without having sex because I was so tired and lethargic from my poor diet and my poor lifestyle. And I was just disgusted with my body. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't love myself. I didn't find myself sexy. How could I even get in the mood? Like, that goes deep. Like, my insecurities, my problems didn't just affect me anymore. They affected my relationship. And my relationship's tied to my business. So then it affects my business. And my business is affected to my livelihood. So then it affects my livelihood. So me not loving myself, me not taking care of myself, affected every single area of my life. Every single area of my life. It was brutal. Can anybody relate? Like, if you're only as strong as your weakest area. Only as strong. And this is a really cool thought. I just thought of this. So, you know, we are only as strong as our weakest area, right? Period. Okay. And here's the thing though. That's a scary thought, right? Because perfection can be really overwhelming. Perfection can be really daunting. Like, I'll never get there. Oh my God, I'm always missing something. I'm never going to be good enough. Like, that's really, really daunting. But it's not as daunting if you can recognize it, right? And that's the purpose of this call. Like, I want to kind of uncover that. And to show you that, here's a story. So I think about, I want to say maybe 5 months ago, I was on a one-on-one call with one of the Fit Queens. And it was a prospect. She was like, should I join Fit Queen? Should I not join Fit Queen, right? She wanted to know about it. So I was on a call with her. And I was asking her, like, what have you tried? What have you struggled with? What are your goals? And then once I learned goals, I really like to dig deep, right? Like, how is not having these goals affecting your life now, right? Because we need to talk about pain to get someone to act, to get you to actually make a decision for yourself. And so I really like to dive deep and you know, like, does it affect how you hold yourself in a room? Does it affect how you perform at work? Like, all these questions I was asking. And she was like, yes, it affects me. I don't like my body. I feel like when I go to the grocery store, everybody's staring at me saying I'm the fat girl. Like, she's listing off everything she hated. And then I got to her family and I was like, do you find it affecting your relationship with your family at all? And she thought, and she said, no. She said, I love my family. I have a great relationship with my husband. I love my kids. I'm so happy. And I was like, okay, interesting. In my mind, I'm like, okay, there's got to be something going on. Something could be better. Maybe it's not bad, but it could be better, right? And now we got off that call. Fast forward 2 months. 2 months after that call, I got a message from her. And she's like, I need Fit Queen so bad. I'm separating from my husband. What? I just had a call 2 months earlier. She's raving about her relationship with her husband, raving about her relationship. It's not crazy. I read it and my mouth literally dropped. I was like, oh my God. And that really drove home to me that we don't even realize how much this affects us, right? You don't even know. It was crazy. She didn't even realize. And that's insane. Is that not, like, that blew my mind. Like, she knew being overweight made her feel bad, but she never even thought for a second that it could interrupt anything else, that it could influence anything else. And you're like naive and delusional to the fact that it could bleed over somewhere else. And it's crazy. And if that doesn't hammer that point home, I don't know what will, because that still blows my mind talking about it, right? Like, it's so crazy. So you need to be open, or you need to accept the idea that if you are not healthy, if your body is not at a low body fat percentage, if you are not fueling your body properly, exercising regularly, there is no way anything in your life is the level you want it to be. Nothing in your life. If you're not right, nothing else is right. Right? If you don't take care of yourself, like if you don't love yourself, how can you love anybody else? Super cliche, but it makes sense. If you got this much love for yourself and you got this much love for your family to give, like, that's just how it works. You got like a little bit of love left. And does your family deserve a little bit of love? No, they deserve all your love. But that only happens when you love yourself. And you have to first accept that if you are sitting here across from the screen from me right now, and your answer to this question, are you happy with where you are right now? Are you happy with your body? And the answer is no. I love some of the faces. If the answer is no, then that means it's not just you that's being affected. And it's not just one area of your life being affected. This making sense, ladies? Very, very deep concept. Very hard to grasp and very hard to actually accept, right? Because a lot of the times, admitting this means you have a lot more work to do than you thought, right? You got a lot more areas of improvement than you thought. You thought, oh, I could just jump on a diet for 21 days and all my problems go away, right? But unfortunately, it's not that easy. But like I said, it doesn't need to be complicated. It's simple, and it doesn't need to be lonely, and it doesn't need to be torturous, right? You shouldn't be waiting for your journey to end. You should be embracing every messy step of it. Life is messy. And that's one of the reasons I love Ryan so much, and I know that he's the right one for me, is because I'm my own person. I'm going on my own journey in life. It's really freaking messy, and I mess up, and I make mistakes, and I say stupid things, and I do stupid things. But he doesn't judge me for it. He's like, oh, that's your path. That's your growing. Do you. I know you're a good person. You're going to learn, and we'll come back together. We'll talk about what we learn, and we grow from that. And that's what a powerful relationship is about. And that's what I try to foster with you guys. Like, go on your messy life. Go on, make mistakes, fail, learn. Let's talk about what we learn, and then grow together moving forward. So it's not lonely. So it's not torturous, right? If you were alone in your head all the time, failing time after time after time, of course you feel like giving up. Of course you're in such a bad mental state. Of course, you feel like you're spiraling out of control. Of course you drop every diet. You're just at the negative cycle when you're alone in your own head, right? You start to, especially as women, I just had a call on Monday with one of the Fit Queens. I think she's on right now. About, as women, we obsess over things in our mind, so much so that we actually create problems that weren't there in the first place. It's absolutely insane. My binging got so bad at one point where I would make myself throw up because I was so full, because I ate so much food. I felt like it was up to here. So I had to throw up because I was so uncomfortable. And then I was like, oh my God, am I bulimic? Oh my gosh, I have binge eating disorder. And I talked myself into thinking I had an eating disorder. And for the longest time, I thought I had an eating disorder. And then I actually talked about my habits out loud. And I realized it wasn't an eating disorder. It was just me building up and getting trapped in this habit that I couldn't get out of. It was just a habit I had built. And because I labeled this problem, I thought I kept having to live up to the problem. And that's what I did for so long. And it just goes for everything, right? You label yourself as someone with a sweet tooth. You label yourself as someone with diabetes. Like, you put these labels on because you think they're going to exempt you from things, right? If I have a binge eating disorder, well, then I get to binge eat. It's just a medical condition. It's incurable. I get to binge eat. I can't help it. I don't have to get that responsibility or take the blame for anything. I don't have to feel bad for not fixing it, right? I have diabetes. Oh my God, I can't eat. I have to watch my sugars, right? You have diabetes. You're not a diabetic, right? There's a difference. Don't say I am a diabetic, because then you associate yourself with that. I have diabetes. That's different wording. It's just something that you have to deal with. That's just your path. That's your journey. That's the cards you've been dealt. Just because you've been dealt a shitty deck of cards, does that give you an excuse to not play? You're still going to try and win. Is it going to be as easy maybe as someone else who's got a good hand? No, but the only other option is that you do nothing. But if you choose to do nothing, you haven't earned the right to complain about doing nothing and seeing no results, right? Do we all know somebody in your life who always complains? Who's the complainer in your life? Write down, who's the complainer in your life? They complain, but then they never try to fix it. They never try to fix it. Gabrina says me. Ooh, I like that. Own up, girl. Mackie says everything, or everyone. Oh God, you're poor. Girl, you gotta have some crazy willpower. There's always these complainers that complain, make excuses for their situation, and then don't try to change it. But here's the thing, there's two options. So you listen to your complaints and you say, either I'm gonna fix it, okay? And then if you do fix it, or if you do work on fixing it, there's no reason to complain anymore, because you're actively trying to fix it. So even if you're fat, but you're actively making an effort, you don't get to complain that you're fat. There's nothing to complain about. You're fixing it. Stop wasting your energy on the past. Stop wasting your energy on something you've already put into action. Period. And then if you've decided that you're complaining about something you don't want to change, then why are you complaining about it? You've accepted it. That is the way that it is now. So you haven't earned the right to complain. So it's very, very important that you guys sit down with yourselves and you have to ask yourself, like, why am I even here? Because you've probably been in this spot before. Most of you have tried something before. Most of you have lost weight and gained it back, or plateaued, or tried a million different things. Maybe you're trying to get back to an old body. Like, you've been here before. Why should I believe you when you say this time is going to be different? Why? What are you actually doing? So now that brings me to my next point, okay? So you have a way to find your deep, deep fears. You have a way to find your deep, deep goals, okay? Now, let's talk about how to prove to yourself that your goal is going to be achieved, and prove to yourself that you're actually going to get there. So in the comments, tell me, what have you done for yourself that has acted as evidence for reaching your goal? So what is like the list of evidence that you've created for yourself? Go in the comments. Have you cut someone out of your life? Have you graduated to the academy where before you would have just tried to go on your own? Have you lasted longer than last time? Have you lost more weight than ever before? Have you actually cut out coffee? Like, what's the evidence that you've proven that you've done something? Angela says she made it to the Elite Academy. Yes, queen. Crystal says, I have too many to list. Go ahead and list it, Crystal. I don't care. Ganeet, cut off toxic people. You go, girl. That is not easy. Not going out all the time. That's not easy. Kudos to you. There's a difference between the successful people and the people who don't stick around with Fit Queen. And the difference is that the successful Fit Queens are the ones that actually, they don't fight the journey. They hate that maybe they don't have to go out anymore. They hate that maybe they have to cut back on their alcohol. They hate these things, but they don't fight it because they just know that that's what it has to be. So there's a difference, right? There are still uncomfortable things you're not going to like doing along your journey. But again, you have to do them to be successful. So is that goal worth being uncomfortable in the moment? Cecilia says, graduating to the academy. Love it. Teresa, eating healthy with proper portions. I love it. So ladies, you have to build that list. I have a huge list list on list on list on list that's always growing of all the evidence. And when I'm feeling low and when I feel like giving up and when I'm, when my goal seems dull, I read it and I say, well, screw this. Look at what I've done. Look at everything I've done. And the decision to move forward is easy. Because you look back at all the hard shit you've done and you're like, well, screw it. I can do one more hard thing today. I can do one more hard thing tomorrow. That's nothing compared to the huge list I have. And it goes outside of just health too, right? Like what are the hard things that you've gone through in your life that show you're a hard worker, that show you are strong mentally and emotionally? Like what are the traumas and the things that you've been through that you've come out stronger? And you take those characteristics that were built through those things, and then you can apply it to your health journey too, because it is completely holistic, right? So for myself, my list is I went to school. I have a formal education. I know what I'm talking about. More than all the gurus on the market who just got a weekend certification. I have certifications on top of that. I have international certifications because I wanted to be the best of the best. I spent $500,000 investing in my own weight loss journey and coaches and mentors trying to figure out the perfect formula. Like I have a list of shit that I look and I can be like, I'm the shit. I'm the shit. I back myself up. And I don't doubt it and I don't feel like an imposter. Like I can be here confident and share my knowledge with you guys and have conviction behind what I say, right? Because the worst feeling is thinking that you're an imposter, thinking that you're not good enough. Thinking that, people are going to judge you for being a hypocrite, not leading by example, right? Did you ever feel silly doing something or silly putting yourself in a situation or like, why is that person listening to me? Or why would that person listen to me? Or why would that person look up to me? Right? And that's the worst thing of all, getting caught in that imposter syndrome. So it's important you have that list. Have that list. And I'm not joking, guys. You have to write down that list. I have a list. And you always add to it. It's alive. It's a living, breathing thing. It's like your heart. You're wearing your heart. It's like you're documenting your life, and it's beautiful to look at. It's beautiful because you're like, I'm cool. I've made it through some things. I can do this, no problem. Very, very cool. So, next thing I want to tackle, okay? So, now knowing this, okay, let's try to paint an even bigger picture, an even bigger purpose, okay? So think back to a time in your life when either your weight or your health or your self-confidence held you back. Think of a time. Everybody has one, okay? Take a second to think. Is it, you wore a cover-up on the beach on your family vacation? Is it, you were uncomfortable in your wedding photos? Is it you canceled plans with your friends last minute? What is that one moment that caused some regret because you were uncomfortable, because you were not confident? Let's see that in the comments, guys. Or who wants to be vulnerable? Does anybody have a moment that popped to their head? Arlene, what's your moment?
So my moment is that we go to baseball tournaments every year, except for this year. And I won't wear a bathing suit in front of anyone. Yeah. And then I thought I had the confidence to do it, and I have a pool in my backyard, and I went swimming with a whole bunch of friends, and someone made a comment. So that just put me back down. So I got the confidence to do it, and then I got shut down.
Wow. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's so hard. I love that. That's so hard, and that's so common. Who else has a story like that? Let's see the hands. Share it. When did it hit you? This is important. Who wants to be vulnerable? Aoife.
I went to Ireland a few years ago for my best friend's wedding, and I was a bridesmaid, and I knew like 6 months beforehand that I was going, and so I tried really hard to lose weight, and it didn't happen. So I ended up being one of the only bridesmaid that was obviously overweight. Wow. And I was beside all these skinny people. And I also sang for her wedding. And someone said to me, oh, well, at least she can sing. Yeah. Yep.
Oh my goodness, that's horrible. What else, ladies? Let's see who's got a hand. Who wants to share? Don't make me call out you like in English class. Casey, you want to share?
Yes. Sorry. I think one of the times was when I was younger. I think I was like in high school, and I had been exercising so much, and like I thought I was making a difference. And I went to the trailer. My dad was there, and one of his friends was over, and he's like, "Oh, you've put on weight."
Wow. That's just so crazy, guys. Like, and anybody listening to that, you know, your heart goes out to them. And you guys, you know, maybe their story sparked a story that you remember. It's brutal. I remember once someone asked if I was pregnant, and I wasn't. And I was like, oh. And you know what, though? In that moment, I was kind of trying to really analyze, you know, why I was so sad and upset at that comment. Because like, why did I give somebody that much power to affect me that much? Like, why did just words put me down like that? And I was thinking, and you know, it's not the words, it's how I felt about myself. Like, the words that they said were true. They were true. And whether or not they were actually true, I believed them. I believed them. And if I was doing something if I was like proud and confident and working on myself, I wouldn't have these feelings. People wouldn't have power over me, right? If I was actually proud of what I was doing, if I actually to my very, very core believed that I'm growing and I'm going to make a difference, even if someone called me pregnant and I do look pregnant, but I'm doing something to make it different, then it doesn't bother me. But if I believe it because I don't actually think I'm ever going to not look pregnant, that's why it bothered me so much, because I believed it. And that was a really pivotal moment for me, where I decided that, you know what, I'm not going to react like that. I'm not going to let anybody faze me. There's no reason. Either they're right and it bothers me enough to make a change, or they're wrong and I'm so confident that I don't have to prove them wrong. Those are the only two options you have in a situation like that. But you need to be able to have the power to realize that. And that's why the community and this tribe is so important. We give you the power and the confidence to be okay, to give you permission to not give a shit what anybody thinks, to maybe be pissed off or hurt for a second and then realize, well, it doesn't matter. Look how far I've come. I'm not slowing down. I've proved that to myself. So it doesn't really matter what they think, because next time they see me, guess what? And then the next time after that, guess what? I'm always moving up. They're going to be in the same spot, right? Anybody who's ever called you a name, whoever commented on your weight, whoever put you down, where are they now? Yeah, not where you want to be, that's for sure. So who gives a shit what they say? So what? Point out my flaws. You guys watch 8 Mile, the Eminem movie? So basically, it's Eminem. You didn't watch it. At the very, very end, they're in a rap battle, right? They're in this rap battle. And Eminem goes first, right? He's going to freestyle. And Eminem, all he does in this freestyle rap is he makes fun of himself. He owns everything. He makes fun of himself. And then guess what? When his opponent goes, his opponent can't think of anything to say, because Eminem owned up to everything. And Eminem won. He won. He owned up all his failures. He made fun of himself. And then you don't give ammo to anybody else. So nobody else's words really affect you. And that's so, so important. Like, Arlene deserves to go strut herself in a bathing suit. Even if she does have extra weight on or not weight on, what the fuck does it matter? If she's growing and she's happy with where she is at right now because she knows that she's always growing, no one should be able to stop you, and no one should be able to make you rethink your decision, right? Like, Casey's so confident. It's like, oh my God, look at me, I'm a hottie. And then you get that comment and you're like, oh, am I? No one should have the power to make you question yourself. No one. So, your goal should be tied to that feeling, right? You should be able to do what you want when you want without fear of being judged or persecuted on a deep, deep level. Because if someone says they're not afraid of judgment, if someone says, I don't care what people think of me, they're lying. Everybody cares. The biggest way we act in life is we act for status. Is that going to make me look good, or is it going to make me look bad? Why do we buy the name brand stuff? Why did you want to look good in the first place starting your journey? Because looking good makes people respect you. And you want that status. That's how it starts. Then you realize it's more than that. So don't ever give anybody that power. It's brutal. It's brutal. Like, Aoife should have been able to enjoy that wedding, but I bet if you look back on it, all her memories are just of how she felt. She's like, oh my God, is this person looking at my stomach when I sit down? Oh my God, is my arms hidden in this picture? And then these experiences that are supposed to be beautiful and wonderful, and it's supposed to be when you're actually enjoying life, all these negative things take over. They take over your mind, and then you're not actually present, right? People say the key to happiness is living in the present, right? But who can say they actually live in the present? Not many people, because we're always concerned about what people are looking like or what we have to do, what we have to get done. And so we live in the future, we live in the past. Very, very few people live in the present. It's very hard to do, right? Even right now, you can't go to a party, or you can't go to a restaurant with slightly obsessing over food in some way, right? I'm gonna eat this, I can't eat this, I can only eat this amount. Oh my God, I shouldn't have had that, right? These are all thoughts that still go through our head all the time. Maybe it's less now, but they're still there. But eventually you go on your path and you make your goals so powerful that, that doesn't hold power over you anymore, right? We're never going to be perfect. I can attest to that. I'm far from it. We're never going to be perfect. But these things don't have power over us anymore. And we build up our tolerance to bullshit, right? Who has a low tolerance to bullshit right now? Most people got a low tolerance to bullshit. A lot of shit gets in our cracks, gets on our nerves. We get angry easily, we get sad easily, we get disappointed easily. We got a low tolerance for bullshit. But guess how you build your tolerance? You put yourself in the line of fire, right? Just like you guys build calluses on your hands, like we build those calluses on our hands for lifting weights. You got to build calluses on your bullshit tolerance. That's why we strengthen our follow-through muscle. It gets stronger. It can handle more. It can take more. And then you're stronger in every area of life. So very, very cool. Okay. Very, very important to remember, right? Because health is linked to everything. So diets are dead. Diets are dead. The mind makeover is in. A mind makeover. That's what you guys are going through. Your very own mind makeover. Diets are dead. They've been dead. Fit queens are the future. That's the way it's going. And anybody from the Academy listening knows exactly what I'm talking about as far as the mind makeover goes. If you look in the Academy Facebook group, you can see the difference between someone who's starting on week 1, the way that they talk, and someone who's finishing week 12, the way that they talk. It is so cool. It is a complete mind makeover. And get excited to view the world different, to increase your bullshit tolerance. Like, imagine how much more you would enjoy life if shit just flew off you, instead of sticking to you. And that's what we're doing. And that's bringing it back. That's why it's so important that we have that deep goal. So we can go through the pain of building that tolerance. We can go through the pain of the mind makeover. We can come to terms with diets are dead. The industry is flawed. You can come to terms with, it's not your fault you failed so far because nothing was built to last. But you can come to terms with, it's your fault now if you don't do anything knowing this information. Your failure in the past is not your fault. But your failure in your future is now your fault because you guys know the difference. You guys are elevated and educated. You guys are probably like one of the most educated and enlightened group of women right now when it comes to health and wellness. No one talks about this stuff, right? It's all about, eat your vegetables and go for a run on the treadmill and you'll be where you want to be. Not really, because where do you want to be? We've just decided that it's not surface level. So those things don't fix a problem. They don't create that life you want. Okay, ladies? So in the comments, let me see what your revelation is. Out of all of this, what's your biggest takeaway? What's your responsibility? What's your goals moving forward? What do you need to adjust based on what we talked about? Or what do you need to work on based on what we talked about? Okay. So let me see in the comments. We talked about making sure that fear is real and deep, making sure that goal is real and deep, okay? Building that list of evidence, okay? Accepting that you're gonna have to go through pain if you want to forget about the pain of not changing, and you're gonna have to deal with a lot of bullshit to up your tolerance,